Hi everyone, Paul Akers, and welcome back to the American Innovator. Last week we did, and this is Africa, and I gave you a quick overview of our recent trip down to South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. And this week we're going to start off with how we started off our trip to South Africa, and we went to the Pinda Forest Lodge with And Beyond. Now, it's a little different than you might expect because everyone says, hey, I'm going to go on safari, let's go out and see the big animals. Well, the first day we got there, we got into the lodge and we had lunch, and we asked if we could just kind of look around a little bit because our first trip into the bush was later on in the afternoon, starting at about 4 o'clock, but I'm being a little impatient, said, is there any way we can go out and look around now? I want to see some big animals. And so they got Barry together, one of the rangers, not the ranger that we work with most of the time, that was James, and you're going to see James later in some of the other videos. But Barry was made available and he took us for a walkabout, if you will, into the bush. Normally, for the most part, we were in vehicles, open vehicles, driving around looking for different animals. It was fantastic. But frankly, my favorite thing to do was to walk about. And Barry took us into the wilderness, and as you'll see in the beginning of the opening scenes, he has a very big gun. Of course, he never has to use that gun, and really none of the rangers ever use it because they're so well trained in animal behavior, and they know exactly how to act if they come across something. But just in case, they do have a gun. And so Barry explained to us what we were going to do, and then we were on our way. And basically that's what you're going to see right now. About a 10-minute walkabout. It took us about a little over an hour to do this, but I reduced it down to 10 minutes so you could kind of feel what it's like to walk about in the bush in Africa with an extremely well-trained guide, Barry. And Barry knows everything about the ecosystem, and he takes a lot of time and explains it all to us. And we just had an awesome time. And I think you're going to enjoy it too. So again, my goal of this whole series on Africa is to transport you with me to Africa so you can feel what it's like to be there. And I'll do the very best job I can to make that happen. So this is Africa, a walkabout with Barry. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, Leanne and I and Cindy and Gordon traveled to South Africa to the Pinda Forest Lodge.
How you doing, Paul? Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
And that is a big gun.
But before we got started, Barry had to load his big gun. So I watched him load it with big bullets because there's a lot of dangerous animals around, and we were actually on foot, not in a vehicle, for our very first trip around the Pinda Forest Lodge.
And then slide the bolt.
So as we walked along, Barry stopped and said, I'm going to give you a quick briefing about what you're going to see in the sand forest. And he explained the ecosystem and how everything worked together, and then we continued on our journey.
There's a lot of plastics, crystal. Orchid. I'm not talking about Africa now, I'm talking about the world. This one, it's a plant. Smallest flowering orchid in the world. It's called pinhead orchid. Flowers are quite small, about 1 millimeter in length. And they should flower anytime from now, like from November, December, January. And flowers at night, they release such a very good smell, which, well, it was used to mix it with some special fruits to make like perfume. So these ones, they don't affect, it's a symbiotic relationship where this plant needs the tree for support. So it doesn't affect the tree, it has got its own small root system, that are aligned along the branches, which they use to absorb the moisture and nutrient from the humidity. And this orchid is only found in the sand forest, only in this habitat.
So as we walked along, we were instructed to walk single file, and if we came across anything, do not run. And then we came across this giant termite mound, which Barry explained was an important part of the ecosystem in the sand forest.
A fungus growing termite mound, these ones. They play such a huge role in the ecosystem because termites are the only smallest living things that can be able to break the cellulose. So we can't break the cellulose. Elephants and rhinos can't break the cellulose. So some of the mounds can grow up to like 2 meters high. And you will be surprised that this whole, you see it starts from down there and
it's all the termite.
It's like this up. So the whole
inside that stuff that you just pulled off?
They're right down at the bottom.
They're down in the bottom.
Because what's
They
happening
make
is
this to protect their house.
yes, and again because what's happening it's warm. Yes. The local people used to make powder from this tree. It's called forest opener, or it's called the cold bark, because no matter what, even it's hot, this tree remains so cold. This stem it remains cooler.
Is it because it's full of water?
It's just like the thin layer, the cambium, the inner part of the bark can hold water for quite a long time. And also this one, see how giant it is. This one is called Lebombo Wetzel. And you see all these like plants, these green plants that are hanging from it. All those green things that are clinging from this tree.
Is that those orchids again?
That's the it's a cactus.
Oh, the
Yes. I'm sure you'll see like trees later and then you'll think it will be cactus. But this is the only true indigenous cactus in southern Africa. This is the cactus. Check the level of fruit. It's gonna fruit anytime from now. And you can see how it's hanging from the whole tree there. This is the only cactus. It's quite an old tree because you can even see like the roughness of the bark, and you see how hollow it has become inside. And now it's home for a whole variety of animals. Snakes like pythons live in here, and anything, mongoose, squirrels can live in here.
mongoose too?
Yeah, mongoose and squirrels, they can live here. The stem diameter of this tree, it grows 1 millimeter in a year. They grow very slow. So if the circumference, the whole stem is over 1 meter, then this tree is 1,000 years old. It's quite an old tree.
You know, when you're on safari, you would expect to see lots and lots of animals, but what we really did is we began to understand the ecosystem where lots and lots of animals live. We saw this beautiful bird's nest, and then Barry just explained how everything worked together to create this unique environment where the animals could thrive. But the next day, we would see animals like you could never believe. But first, we had to understand how the sand forest came to be and the important plants that made up the sand forest.
In most of our homestead, we plant these trees at the entrance of the homestead because we believe that they prevent. Looks like this is a seed.
Oh, like we have that. They blow up in the air.
Yeah, children like to blow it up in the air. It's so soft, yeah. Yeah, I feel how soft it is.
I thought it was an animal.
So an algae and a fungus. The algae provides food and nutrient, and then the fungus gives the form and shape. And these plants, the interesting stuff is that they don't grow in an area where air is polluted. They only symbolize very clean air. These plants. So the air that we breathe in the forest is very clean. There's seeds have got a little bit of an oily substance which is flammable. So it was burnt long time ago by the local people or the hunters as navigating torches. Yes, they burn the seeds which has got a bit of an oily substance on it.
And here Barry points out a lion paw print in the direction that it's traveling, hence the large gun we carry, which he never has to use.
It's funny how you come out into the forest thinking you want to see just big game, but one of the most interesting things we saw was the dung beetle.
The what?
The dung beetle.
That's a big beetle.
They push its dungs. They push elephant dung, rhino dung, they make it into balls now.
They do what?
They push
Dung
dung.
of the elephant.
Oh, they're called dung beetles.
They call dung beetles. Yeah.
What do they do with the dung?
They lay the eggs inside.
Oh.
Yeah, the dung. It's clever.
So these little guys fly and crawl all over the floor of the forest looking for dung of an elephant and a rhinoceros. Then they get on top of it and they roll it up in a ball. They get their mate, they put their mate on it, and they roll them all over the forest floor. That's a cheap date if you ask me. Low expectations.
False eyes in their legs.
Oh yeah, look at those eyes.
beside these ones, false eyes, which are small flies that are underneath here, which cleans the senses of smell from the dung beetle. Because if those senses of smell get dirty with the dung, he won't be able to locate the dung. So the mites clean him, and then he transport them to the dung. As soon as he found the dung, the mites fall off into the dung. They lay the eggs there and breed there. So they need each other. The mites.
So as we walked along, Barry found a wildebeest skull, and it was just fascinating to look at that a lion had gotten, and you can kind of tell by how the bones were spread out is what he was indicating. And before long, we came across this, a porcupine quill, just beautiful. Barry's so observant and so well trained, he just sees everything.
It's beautiful.
What do people do? What do people do?
You know, Barry was really amazing. He just pointed out all the small little nuances of the sand forest. We found this little herb that smells just like curry. Just fascinating. He knows this place like the back of his hand. So we finished our first walk through the sand forest at Pinda Forest Lodge and beyond. It was just spectacular. And now we came up onto our beautiful dining room area, and we had awesome food.
It's fantastic to walk about with Barry, a knowledgeable, well-trained ranger of the and beyond experience. It's just very special to me. And I promise you're going to see all the big game that I've been promising you about. I have fantastic video to share with all of you. But it's really important that you get introduced to the sand forest and the bush through the eyes of a trained guide like Barry. We'll see you next week on The American Innovator.